Discover the touching truth behind a late Christmas Eve date, a single mom's incredible surprise. The clock on the wall ticked ominously as Emily adjusted her scrubs, mind swirling with tension of the night ahead. Christmas Eve was meant for family, but at the hospital, the chaos of flu season loomed like a dark shadow over her festive spirit. She longed to be home with Lily, the girl who still believed in magic, but her shifts grew longer, stretching her already frazzled resolve. So many Christmases alone, Emily fought a wave of gnawing doubt. Could she really let someone into their lives without disrupting the fragile little world she'd built just for them? The doorbell rang as the cold wind howled, and an unexpected tremor ran through her. Mike, a familiar face from a recent charity event, stood waiting with a half-hearted smile, uncertainty etched in his features. She felt the heaviness of conflicting emotions crushed against her chest. Her heart fluttered at the thought of companionship, yet anxiety clawed at her, urging her to reconsider. Navigating the choppy waters of single motherhood alone had been a challenge, but was this the lifeline she needed? Would her child understand if her choice led to something beyond the simple comforts of their routine? Dinner out? He proposed, his eager eyes searching hers. Desperation seeped into the corners of her mind, battling against the familiar ache of guilt for leaving Lily behind. But what if this was her chance for connection, for something that had been missing in her life? Just this once, she whispered to herself before giving a nod. As she twirled in her holiday dress, the fabric whispered through her fingers like a fading dream. What would Lily think? Her mind was an avalanche of fears. The possibility of a father figure in her daughter's life sent jarring jolts of chaos through her. Yet the hope of extending her heart just a little further came with an irresistible lure, one she could hardly recognize within the constant care of her daughter's world. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Dinner at the diner passed in a haze of connections, shared laughter draped over stories of their children, both tender threads weaving a tapestry of loneliness. Yet, as they ventured deeper into discussion, Emily's heart caught in a web of uncertainty. Was it fair to her daughter? Should she be opening herself up when her heart hadn't, lest it become tainted with disappointment once more? When they returned home, Lily burst through the door, a whirlwind of excitement. "Mom, look! It's Christmas!" she exclaimed, sparkling with innocent enthusiasm. Emily faltered, knowing that tonight was about keeping the dream alive for her little girl. In her moment of vulnerability, she extended the invitation to Mike, trepidation flickering beneath her resolve. As they gathered beneath the glow of their tiny tree, the atmosphere breathed an air of possibility, shared stories, and laughter intertwining with the faint scent of pine and familiarity. But the moment grew heavy, tension coiling around her heart when she spotted the card hidden beneath the tree, Lily's handwriting scrawled with hope. An innocent wish for a new dad settled into the depths of her soul. It felt both precious and terrifying. She couldn't shake the feeling that their evening was a fragile precipice. Glancing at Mike, she caught a glimpse of his own ache, a longing masked by a smile. They were both tethered by unproven connections and fear of the unknown. Thrust into the ardent warmth of festive cheer, the clock's steady ticking provided a chilling reminder. Could they unravel this uncharted territory together, or would fear plunge them back into isolation? The air crystallized with potential. Their next steps, obscured by the weight of unresolved desires and hidden truths, held them captive in an uncertain embrace, one that could either forge a new path or sever a budding connection before it could bloom. The next morning heralded a world wrapped in the silver sheen of fresh snow, transforming Emily's familiar street into a magical landscape. Yet the day felt heavy as she stared out the window, her heart wrestling with the echoes of last night. Were the tinsel and lights merely a facade for her conflicted feelings? Lily's laughter danced in from the adjoining room, a bright counterpoint to the clamor of doubt haunting Emily. There was something nearly palpable about the innocent joy emanating from her daughter, a reminder that perhaps she held not just a single thread of happiness but the entire tapestry of hope that Christmas represented. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions nor overshadow the warmth of her child's excitement. Still, Mike lingered on her mind, woven intricately within her budding doubts. In the light of day, she wondered, could she trust him? Could the reflection of his longing gaze last night translate into something stable, something real? As much as she cherished her independence, a nagging tug pulled at the back of her mind, a questioning of what might happen if she dismissed the potential of connection, both for herself and for Lily. After a small breakfast where the aroma of cocoa and cinnamon filled the air, Emily knew she had an internal decision to make. How much of her heart could she allow Mike to occupy without losing the precious bond she shared with her daughter? Was it worth risking it all for a possibility? Daring to confront those feelings, Emily decided to ask herself the hard questions. Did she believe Lily could adapt? That a loving figure could enhance their lives rather than complicate them? The overprotective instinct rose fiercely, as if warning her against falling into a familiar pattern of isolation. But in the back of her mind, there was another voice, faint but persistent. It offered her a glimmer of realization. Emotional connections could be enriching if nurtured with care. Determined to find clarity, she grabbed her coat and headed to the nearby park, the place she often visited with Lily. The crunch of snow beneath her boots echoed her thoughts as she immersed herself in the tranquility of the winter scene. With each step, she pondered the subtle intricacies of acceptance and trust. What would happen if she opened up to Mike? What if they forged a partnership that offered not only love for her but also a sense of security for Lily? Questions spun around like festive ornaments on a tree. Each one brought forth different scenarios, and with them, a cascade of emotions ranging from anxiety to exhilaration. Seated on a bench, the world around her blurred, honing her focus inward. Emily uncovered something remarkable. She recognized that the core of her feelings about Mike was rooted in her own reluctance to embrace change. Fear of disappointment mingled with a budding desire for companionship. She understood now that vulnerability could give rise to strength if approached with determination and insight. As the sun dipped on the horizon, casting golden rays across the snow, Emily resolved to speak to Mike again. It was an opportunity to share her thoughts, to address their fears openly. However, a creeping sense of dread also surfaced. She realized that revealing her internal conflicts could prompt a response that might shatter her already fragile hope. Seeking connection might not simply involve a leap but also a plunge into the unknown. With a deep breath, she clutched her phone, scrolling through Mike's number. She hesitated, the weight of her decision pressing down, but the lingering thought of those innocent wishes under the tree pushed her forward. The moment had come to face the truth, not just about Mike, but about herself and her capacity for growth. Just as she gathered the resolve to press call, the screen lit up with a text from Mike. "Hey, can we talk? I feel like we need to sort this out." The words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with expectancy. The truth loomed, set against the backdrop of her own fears. Would she find the strength to open her heart, or would the fear of vulnerability keep her tethered to the past? The moment for honesty had arrived, yet another question emerged. Could she articulate what she truly wanted without stumbling into emotional chaos? Emily's heart raced as she stared at the text, the soft glow of her phone illuminating the conflict ion in her expression. There it was, the invitation for clarity and opportunity she had longed for and feared in equal measure. Taking a shuddering breath, she realized this moment would define not only her relationship with Mike but also her understanding of herself. The park was quiet, the tranquility shattered by the mounting tension inside her. She could feel the chill of the air against her cheeks as her mind constructed a myriad of scenarios. What if Mike didn't understand her fear? What if he expected something from her that she wasn't ready to give? Each thought felt like a heavy stone dropping in her stomach. Yet, intertwined with the uncertainty was a flicker of hope that perhaps, against all odds, they could strike that delicate balance. After a few moments, Emily typed back, "Yes, I do like that." When and where? She hit send, feeling an electric thrill coupled with the dread of potential outcomes. Time seemed to stretch as she waited for his reply, every second amplifying the internal monologue echoing through her mind. What am I doing? Why can't I just keep things safe and predictable? She chastised herself, her fingers nervously tapping against her knees. Yet, beneath the anxiety lay a deeper truth. Growth often resided in uncomfortable spaces. The response came swift. "How about the coffee shop on Main? In an hour?" She inhaled sharply. An hour wasn't just time to prepare, it was a ticking clock lining up with her emotional countdown. Emily made her way home, her thoughts racing as she tried to devise a coherent plan of conversation. What would she say? How could she express her fears and still come across as secure? An image of Lily played in her mind. The way her daughter looked at her, wide-eyed and trusting, pushed Emily to reaffirm the promise she made earlier. Transparency would help them forge new pathways, one that included Mike without overshadowing their bond. Stepping through her front door, the warm scent of cinnamon still lingered, a reminder of the comforting traditions she cherished. She noticed the vibrant decorations around the room, resonates of joyous time spent making memories with Lily. The juxtaposition of the holiday's cheer and her inner turmoil intensified her resolve. As the minutes slipped by, Emily prepared herself. She looked in the mirror, forcing her posture straight, schooling her features into a semblance of confidence. "I can do this," she murmured, testing her voice. It felt earnest, a promise not only to Mike but also to herself. The hour arrived too soon. Emily slipped into her coat, grabbing her purse while casting a glance back towards the living room filled with the vibrancy of her child's laughter. This meeting wasn't just about her and Mike, it encompassed their future. Would he even want to share that future with them? The question loomed, a heavy cloud clinging to her thoughts as she stepped out into the world. The walk to the coffee shop was both grounding and overwhelming. The streets, dusted in a light blanket of snow, seemed to glow under the light of street lamps. She recalled the moments of joy they had shared, the humor in their exchanges, the way he listened with intent. But doubt flickered in her mind. What if those moments were just fleeting? Upon reaching the cafe, she saw Mike standing near the entrance, glancing at his watch and scanning the crowd. Their eyes met, a mix of relief and apprehension washed over his face. Emily felt her heart respond, a gentle pulsation urging her to lean into what was unfolding. "Hey," Mike said with a tentative smile, and she nodded in return, the small exchange a reminder of their connection. "Hi. Thanks for coming," she said softly, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions battling within her. He gestured towards a quiet corner inside the shop, and as they took their seats, she knew there would be no turning back. The conversation was destined to navigate through the complex fabric of their feelings and fears, the very essence of vulnerability. "You know, I've been thinking a lot about us," he started, the sincerity of his tone catching her attention. It was time to unveil her own truths, to confront the duality of hope and fear that had gripped her heart. The moment had come to face the reality of their connection, but as Emily opened her mouth to speak, the undercurrents of doubt surged back, a realization that moments of truth often invite the risk of heartbreak. "Before we dive in, can I share something that has been weighing on my heart?" she ventured, feeling that familiar twist of anxiety, her resolve flickering. Mike tilted his head, urging her on, as if he sensed the depth of her struggle. "Please do," he said, encouragingly. At that moment, she understood, the path to revelation might just lead her to an unexpected crossroads, one that could redefine everything she had once believed about love, trust, and family. Just as she was about to reveal her fears, an unexpected figure stepped into her view, a reminder that life was always shifting, and she needed to brace for the unknown. An unexpected guest emerged from the other side of the cafe, one who could either complicate or illuminate her struggles further. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Could this new element unravel everything she had hoped to build? Emily's heart raced as she caught sight of the approaching figure. It was Sarah, her childhood friend, a woman whose entrance could either bring comic relief or catastrophic complication. Clad in her usual bohemian style, she exuded a carefree spirit that had always been a juxtaposition to Emily's cautious nature. At that moment, Emily felt as though she was being split in two, the instinct to stay rooted at the table competing with the urge to flee. "Emily. I had no idea you'd be here," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she slid into the seat beside Emily without invitation. The brightness of her personality cast an unexpected warmth, but inside, Emily tensed. This was not how she imagined the conversation with Mike would unfold. She needed focus, clarity, and the chance to voice her truth. Hey, Sarah," Emily managed, glancing at Mike, who was shooting her a look of mild confusion mixed with hope that the disruption would be fleeting. Before she could gather her thoughts, Sarah turned to Mike, her curiosity bubbling over. You're a new face. What brings you into our little corner of the world? His smile faltered slightly, caught off guard. I'm here to meet Emily. We have a lot to discuss. Oh, I hope I'm not interrupting. Sarah's tone was teasing as she wiggled her eyebrows, blissfully unaware of the heavy stakes that lay on the table between the pair. Emily's pulse quickened as her carefully constructed plan began to crumble. This wasn't just a casual chat. She dreaded the thought of having to unpack her fears and insecurities with an audience. Actually, Sarah, she interjected, her voice firm yet trembling, we were in the middle of a conversation. The pause that followed felt monumental. A thick atmosphere of expectation settled over them. Emily caught Mike's eyes, searching for reassurance, a silent plea to acknowledge the urgency of the moment. Sorry, but... Mike began, clearly caught between joviality and the weight of expectations. I'd like to hear what you have to say, Emily, Sarah interrupted. Really, it sounds serious. Frustration bubbled within Emily, forcing her to acknowledge her internal conflict. Did she want to share her vulnerability with someone who had never walked the same path? The reality of the moment was palpable. She could feel herself being drawn into small talk while the clock ticked away the precious minutes needed for honesty. Give us a second, okay? Emily suggested to Sarah. The words came out more forcefully than she intended, but she felt a surprising sense of empowerment in asserting her needs. Emily turned back to Mike, feeling the weight of his anticipation. I didn't know how to start, but maybe what I'm struggling with right now is trusting how I feel about us. It's not just about us, it's about what I can do moving forward as a mother. As she spoke, a newfound clarity began to unfurl within her, a revealing of fears that had previously shrouded her in doubt. Mike listened intently, his eyes encouraging her to continue, urging her to confront the shadows within her, to reconcile her past with her potential. I need to know that if things deepen between us, you understand the complexities I'm bringing to this, Emily continued, every word feeling like a step forward into a bright, albeit intimidating, unknown. With each syllable, she shook off the previous layers of doubt and uncertainty. Sarah raised an eyebrow, clearly caught in the storm swirling around them. Sorry, but I didn't mean to be here for this heavy talk. I can bounce somewhere else if you two need privacy. Maybe it's actually good for you to hear this, Mike interjected, glancing back at Sarah. Emily's been working very hard at balancing things, and it helps to have support. Emily felt a swell of appreciation mixed with caution at his boldness. She had been grappling with her own fears, yet here he was, elevating their connection, inviting challenge while simultaneously asserting the importance of community. Perhaps she could thrive in the tension rather than being crushed by it. The three of them found themselves in a tenuous truce, yet Emily knew one fact remained: understanding oneself was only the beginning of navigating relationships, and strengthening the bonds with her daughter meant being transparent about her struggles. As the moment lingered, Emily sensed that confronting her fears wasn't the only path forward. Unexpectedly, she realized that Sarah's presence had brought an unanticipated layer of complexity that could catalyze this moment of revelation. Sarah's right. Maybe I do need to navigate this with the people I trust, she thought, allowing a courageous breath to escape her. As she prepared to redefine everything she believed about connections, the conversation slid into deeper waters. The door of their collective history opened wide, one that included both joy and apprehension. Before she could formulate the words to truly express her evolving emotions, Sarah suddenly leaned closer, interrupting once more, pushing the conversation into uncharted territory. You know, I saw something today that made me think of you both. It might help you sort things out. Just when Emily thought clarity was within reach, a haze of intrigue breathed new life into the conversation, leaving her strained anticipation brimming over into something unknown. What could that revelation possibly be? The anticipation in Emily's chest swirled like a storm. Sarah's smile, filled with a teasing delight, hinted at the surprise she was about to reveal. Emily's focus threatened to splinter under the weight of unvoiced fears, and the momentary relief of curiosity felt fleeting as her thoughts started. Wait, she said, an extremity of resolve flickering within her. What did you see? We should probably finish this conversation first. Mike's eyebrows quirked in surprise, but he remained silent, nodding his agreement. Sarah caught the tension in the air, an instinct prompting her to alter her approach. "Oh, nothing major, just something that reminded me of you." "Really, it might be a bit silly." Emily exchanged eyes with Mike, whose expression was serious yet encouraging. It briefly gave her the strength to push aside the apprehension that gripped her mind like an iron fist. In that instant, sentimental nostalgia collided with the weight of their present engagement. "Just tell me," Emily pressed, the firmness of her voice resonating with an underlying urgency. "I need to know what it is." Realizing the depth behind her plea, Sarah paused. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face but was quickly chased away by another smile. "Fine, but you both have to promise me no judging what I'm about to say." "I promise," Emily replied, the instinct to manage expectations cutting through her bubbling anxiety. Sarah leaned in conspiratorially, her eyes sparkling as she began. "I was at this thrift store earlier today, and I came across this adorable vintage bracelet." It screamed you, Emily. But what struck me even more was how your style has evolved. I think it's a reflection of how you've changed being a mother while also pursuing a life outside that role. The words pierced through Emily's sense of vulnerability. She never considered that her external choices could symbolize her internal journey. A jolt of realization coursed through her, reshaping her perception. "You really think so?" she asked, her voice softening as she grappled with that unexpected truth. "Definitely," Sarah affirmed, highlighting your metamorphosis with an animated wave of her hand. "It's like you're layering parts of your identity." What else could you find intriguing in this new chapter? For the first time, Emily began to unravel the notion of identity as something dynamic, something she could nourish rather than something that confined her. "I guess I have been trying to find the balance," Emily mused, a hint of a smile creeping onto her face as she mentally noted Sarah's statements. "Each day feels like a bounce between what I need to be and who I am at heart." It's a lot to shoulder. Her admission unlocked a cascade of thoughts. As she recalled intimate moments with her daughter, the struggle of being present while managing her ambitions swirled in vivid images in her mind. Mike broke the silence, a gentle but firm voice carving through the tangled emotions. "Emily, it's okay to be multifaceted. It's actually powerful. Sarah's right. We all undergo evolution. It's vital to embrace those changes. In fact, having those varied identities makes you stronger." His words reverberated through her, stirring something within, an acknowledgement that the sensations of motherhood did not overshadow her aspirations but complemented them. Here, seated with her friends, in a corner booth of a weathered cafe, something began to lift within her, but as the realization settled, a new wave of uncertainty hovered. What if these identities create conflict? Emily asked, a crease forming between her brows. What if she struggles to understand that I'm not just one thing? Sarah's response was immediate, filled with conviction. Then you share those experiences with her. Present the truth of who you are, and let her see you in every layer. Everything else will follow. The empowering echo of Sarah's words cleared some of the mist clouding Emily's mind. Suddenly, a different path emerged, a vision of coexistence among her identities of vulnerability and strength dancing together. Determined to heed the mutual advice, she turned to Mike. "So what does that mean for us? Can I keep moving forward?" As she spoke, the risk of vulnerability eclipsed her previous doubts about sharing her heart. Yet, right as Mike was about to respond, it looked as if Sarah was ready to leap back into the fray. Speaking of changes and layers, she interjected, excitement threading through her tone. "What do you both think of a weekend getaway? A chance to explore? It could be meaningful to really unpack all of this at one TB just talk." Emily's pulse quickened, caught between attraction to the suggestion and the whirlpool of her mental landscape. The call for action tugged at her heart. Was she prepared to dive deeper into the complexities of her life, fully embrace the unknown, and let go of the weights that held her back? Just as the thrill of possibility surged within her, Emily realized it might not be simple. It could entail acknowledging parts of herself still shrouded in shadow. Would she embrace this leap? Uncertainty swirled, thickening the air. In that charged moment, she faced a precipice, an invitation to discover not only her potential as a mother but who she was destined to become. Maybe it's time, Emily thought, allowing hope to stir anew. But would she be ready to take that first step, knowing exactly where it could lead? Emily took a deep breath, her heart beating in a rapid rhythm that echoed the silent call of adventure. The weekend getaway was more than just a break from routine, it was an opportunity to confront her fears and embrace the multifaceted woman she was becoming. She had always navigated life meticulously, balancing her ambitions with the demands of motherhood. But now, the prospect of an escape with Mike and Sarah shone like a beacon, tempting her to step into the unknown. "What do you think?" Sarah's voice broke through Emily's contemplation. "Are we just going to talk about it, or do we want to actually do it?" Mike asked, his tone a blend of excitement and seriousness, adding fuel to Emily's internal debate. The crux of her hesitation crystallized in that moment. Here was a tangible chance for development and expedition into introspection and shared experiences. Could she be willing to share her vulnerabilities with her closest friends? The prospect terrified yet thrilled her. "Let us do it," Emily's voice emerged firmer than she anticipated, the words spilling out with newfound resolve. "A getaway could be just what I need." The excitement in the air transformed. They began to discuss destinations, each suggestion adding a layer of possibility. Beach, mountains, or a quaint cabin nestled in the woods, it didn't matter. Emily's spirit soared as she envisioned stepping away from routines, enveloped instead by open skies and the laughter of close friends. As the night wore on, their plans solidified, and laughter melded with hushed anticipations of what was to come. Yet even amidst the thrill, another wave of apprehension coursed through her. Each time she contemplated what the trip would mean, a question ricocheted in her mind. What hidden parts of herself would surface? Emily's thoughts wandered. Would she confront not just the version of herself that was a mother or friend, but the ambitious, creative woman yearning for expression? These identities felt like shadows hiding beneath the surface, waiting for illumination. The weekend away could act like a mirror, reflecting layers she had yet to fully examine. As they organized the logistics, Emily noticed Mike stealing glances at her, an expression of warmth and encouragement hovering on his features. He was, after all, someone who understood struggle and growth, someone who accepted her complexities without judgment. The bond they shared was a constant reminder that she was not alone on this journey. "Are you really okay with this?" he finally asked, the softness in his voice inviting genuine conversation. "Yes, I am," she responded thoughtfully. "I realize now how much I need to embrace every part of my identity, even the messy bits. Maybe this trip is a chance for me to do just that." Mike nodded, a look of pride washing over his face. "I know you can do it. You've come so far already." Yet despite their camaraderie, unease still clung to Emily. The idea of genuinely unpacking who she was, a blend of mother, professional, and woman, felt monumental. What if she uncovered aspects that would alter everything? Her sense of self, built through years of compartmentalization, could dissolve into something unpredictable. As the last remnants of the evening faded, her decision crystallized a commitment to embark on this journey toward wholeness. But every leap carries uncertainty. Standing at that metaphorical edge, exhilaration and fear intertwined within her. Pushing aside that anxiety, Emily still sensed a tether to her daughter, the most crucial part of her life. Would this transformation enhance her role as a mother? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Just as she was about to articulate her thoughts to Mike and Sarah, the sudden ring of her phone shattered the moment, sending a jolt through her. Who could that be? Emily wondered aloud, her curiosity piqued. As she answered, a rush of apprehension tightened her chest. What awaited her on the other side of the line? The unexpected couldn't wait, and neither could she. Emily's pulse quickened as she answered the phone, a sense of dread swirling in her stomach. The voice on the other end was familiar yet unsettling. It was her mother, a potential source of support and also deep-rooted tension. "Emily, I just wanted to check in. Have you thought any more about the holidays?" Her mother's inquiry felt like a trap, luring her back into past conflicts. Emily tightened her grip on the phone, focusing intently on the chatter in the background, hoping it would mask her tumultuous feelings. "Yes, I have," she replied cautiously, choosing her words with care. "Mike and Sarah and I are planning a getaway this weekend. It's something I really need right now." There was a silence, one that spoke volumes. It cracked like ice under pressure, making her question if she had revealed too much. A getaway? Shouldn't you be focusing on what's best for your daughter instead? The disapproval laced with concern settled heavy in her chest. Emily's mind raced. Was seeking her own joy inherently selfish? Beneath her mother's words, however, lay her own buried frustrations, years of silent sacrifices masked as responsible decisions. Mom, I am focusing on my daughter. This trip helps me recharge. A happier mother is a better mother, she challenged, her voice steady yet trembling. Just be careful, her mother admonished, a lingering trace of worry evident. As Emily hung up, the weight of the conversation pressed down like a band on a wound, the complications of familial expectations wrestling with her burgeoning independence. Though a part of her wanted to spiral into uncertainty, another part ignited with determination. She would not let the past dictate her present decisions. With resolute energy, she turned to Mike and Sarah, who were still immersed in planning. I think I need to assert myself more, especially with my mom, she declared, surprising herself with her boldness. I don't want to lose sight of what I need or let guilt steer my choices. Mike leaned closer, his expression open and encouraging. That's the spirit, Em. Every step outside your comfort zone is a step towards growth. Sarah chimed in, it's a balancing act. You're not just a mother, you're a woman with your own needs. You deserve to live fully. A flicker of empowerment surged through Emily. Their words resonated, illuminating the path ahead. As she considered those facets of herself previously dulled by obligation, a new sense of self began to blossom within. With the impending trip focusing her intentions, a vision of reclaiming her voice began to take shape. Preparing for the getaway stirred in her the thrill of anticipation, a desire to explore unknown parts of herself cast in new light. But the challenge remained to process what it meant to step into her identity without old fears clouding her journey. As the weekend approached, Emily's chest tightened with excitement and uncertainty. She saw this trip not as an escape but as a deliberate fusion of her layered identities. The uncharted territory beckoned, inviting her to claim her aspirations while laying the groundwork for the role model she needed to be for her daughter. Just as that mounting wave of clarity surged through her, another notification buzzed on her phone, an unexpected message that might unravel her new resolve. Emily, I need to talk. Can we meet? The words, stripped of context yet heavy with possibility, provoked a surge of apprehension. Who was this from? And what revelation awaited her now? The urgency of the situation clawed at her, raising the stakes before the adventure even began. What ramifications would this conversation hold for her unfolding journey? Emily stared at the screen of her phone, her heart racing as she deciphered the contained urgency of the message. The implications swirled in her mind like leaves caught in an autumn wind. Who would want to meet her, and what purpose lay behind the request? Instinctively, her thoughts drifted to her mother, the likely catalyst stirring this inner storm. It was exhausting, the way her family's opinions often seeped into the corners of her mind, darkening her ability to see her own needs clearly. She pushed aside her mounting apprehension and picked up her bag with newfound determination. It was time to regain control over her narrative. Every moment leading to their weekend escape was a reminder of purpose. As she stepped outside into the damp afternoon air, she took a deep breath, a promise to herself to confront the uncertainties that grounded her. Meetings with the unexpected often brought clarity or chaos. She knew she had to confront this head-on. Balancing both excitement and a burgeoning anxiety, Emily decided to reply, setting a meeting at a nearby cafe, a place vibrant with life, buzzing with laughter and the scent of freshly ground coffee. The thought of engulfing herself in warm surroundings calmed her spirit, reminding her that she was actively choosing her path, despite any shadows lurking from her past. As she arrived and settled into her seat, her fingers tapped nervously against the table. The cafe was alive, people around her creating a comforting hum that filled the space. She ordered a coffee, a familiar ritual that settled her nerves. Emily refocused on the moment, calling upon the strength she had begun to cultivate in her interactions with Mike and Sarah earlier that week. The door swung open, and a figure emerged, pulling her from her thoughts. It was her sister, Karen. The two hadn't seen each other in months, not since tensions had escalated regarding their own family matters. Karen's presence reminded Emily of the complex dynamics she had been sidestepping for too long. Watching her sister approach, anxiety surged again. Would this meeting provoke a confrontation, opening old wounds, or would it lead to reconciliation? Karen began, her tone cautious. I didn't think you'd agree to meet. I wanted to talk about Mom. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. A meeting about their mother, of course. There was no escaping the shadows. But deep down, she felt an unwavering pulse, a desire to assert her voice. I'm listening, she replied, her tone steady. Karen swept into a chair, her demeanor more frantic than Emily remembered. I need you to understand something about her. It's not all of her fault, she's just scared. Emily continued to breathe steadily, reminding herself that honesty was crucial. I get that, but it's exhausting, Karen. She places expectations on us. I can't keep living for her happiness. The words felt powerful as they left her lips, bringing an unexpected sense of relief. Then maybe we can find a way to communicate that to her. Karen's voice softened, rising above the cafe clamor. You're stronger than you think, Em. It's not just about her, it's about us too. Emily took a moment, reflecting on her sister's words. The notion of unity resonated. Though they had been divided by familial tension, perhaps the journey toward understanding could bind them together instead. As they navigated familial complexity, Emily realized that a single conversation had the potential to redefine family expectations. Empowered, she decided to confront her mother directly. After all, claiming her own voice included crafting an ongoing dialogue based on authenticity, not obligation. With the weight of the meeting lifting slightly, she glanced at her sister, who was lost in thought. A sense of kinship began to blossom between them, a shared battle against the shadows that had long clouded their relationship. Maybe this trip will give us both clarity, Emily suggested. A chance for a fresh start. Karen nodded, and for the first time in a long while, hope sparked in Emily's mind. Perhaps reconciliation was on the horizon, but their mother's deep-seated fears loomed ominously. Would they tackle it together, or would the family's secrets remain tucked away, waiting for the next festive gathering to fracture the fragile peace? As they weighed their resolve, Emily's phone buzzed again, a new message. The decision loomed large. This time, it felt crucial, as if the pendulum of her life swayed toward a critical juncture. What awaited her on the other side of this unknown conversation could lead her to new horizons or plunge her back into the depths of old expectations. She steeled herself for whatever came next. The cafe atmosphere shifted as the vibrant sounds blurred into a singular focus for Emily. She couldn't ignore the trepidation that loomed over her, a sense that the conversation with Karen might unearth more than just shared grievances regarding their mother. It might delve deeper into the fragile foundation of their relationship. With her sister's hesitant gaze, Emily noticed the shifts of apprehension on Karen's face, betraying an inclination to maintain decorum in their discussions. We know she's scared, Emily began, voice steady but laced with intensity. But I can't play the role of the dutiful daughter anymore. It's suffocating. What about my needs? Karen leaned forward, drawing closer, her expression turning earnest. That's exactly it. You're frightened to stand alone, to vocalize what you want. But what if, she hesitated, searching for the right words, what if we're both in the same boat? Both waiting for permission to express our needs? Emily felt an unsettling twist in her gut. The truth of Karen's words sank deep, encroaching on her self-perception. I haven't set boundaries. Not with her, and certainly not with anyone else. I've allowed their expectations to define me, she confessed, her voice breaking slightly. Karen offered a nod, acknowledging the weight of this shared realization. It's a step, Em. If we both voice what we need, it might bring clarity not only to her but also to us. The warmth of the cafe couldn't dissolve the chill of vulnerability cascading through Emily. Setting boundaries felt like standing at the edge of a precipice, the leap into the unknown both thrilling and terrifying. She envisioned a future where she charted her path with confidence, unconstrained by the decorum built from years of familial obligation, but with that vision came another pang, the fear of conflict, of windstorms that could tear their family apart. What if I express how I feel and it just escalates everything? I don't want to hurt her. Or keep hurting yourself, Karen countered. You're not accountable for her emotions. You need to live for yourself. With those words echoing in her mind, Emily surveyed her sister's earnestness. For the first time, the realization hit her this journey wasn't just about confronting their mother, it was about reclaiming her own identity within the family narrative. How do I even start? Emily murmured, almost to herself. The idea conjured images of confronting their mother with honesty, yet, beneath it all, sat the fear of deep-rooted familial repercussions. Would her admission of truth just crack the fragile illusion that kept things seeming peaceful? Start with a statement, Karen encouraged, now more animated. Something simple, like Mom, I care about you, but I need to express my own needs as well. You have the right to share your voice. Emily's heart raced. It was as if she could feel the tectonic shifts transpiring in her core, an awakening that felt both exhilarating and anxiety-inducing. She'd been suffocated by her family's expectations for far too long. Here lay the opportunity to break free from that cycle. As their conversation unfolded, the potential for transformation rested outside the cafe, beckoning her to step into unfamiliar territory. Still, the weight of her mother loomed heavily, daunting in its complexity. Are you ready for this? Karen asked, her vulnerability mirrored Emily's anxiety. I think I am, Emily replied, though a tremor in her voice contradicted her conviction. As they prepared to leave, Emily's phone buzzed again, another message. It was from an unknown number, yet it felt intimately familiar, as if it were an answer to her newfound resolve. The urgency behind it, however, was now amplified by her unfolding journey. What could this potential diversion mean for her budding independence? Would it be a catalyst or a further complication in the path she was finally eager to walk? With her heart pounding, she steeled herself once more, ready to embrace whatever the moment called for. Emily stood at the threshold of transformation, her journey culminating in a moment rich with clarity. The weekend getaway had unfolded both new vulnerabilities and exposed layers of strength she never ventured to explore before. Each day spent with Mike and Sarah led her deeper into introspection, gradually revealing the tangled threads of her identity: mother, professional, and a woman yearning for connection. What started as a daunting leap into uncertainty had become a celebration of her multifaceted self. The joy of shared laughter and sleepless nights deepened her connections, leading her to understand the importance of being true to herself and her dreams. The family dynamics that had once bound her grew lighter, allowing her to breathe freely. It was on a serene Sunday morning, wrapped in the warmth of newfound relationships, that Emily embraced the magnitude of her next steps. She turned to Mike, their bond forming a sturdy foundation. I want to face my mom, she declared, the resolve ignited by the weekend's revelations. I want to speak my truth, not just for myself but for my daughter too. There was a quiet strength in her voice, a commitment to honor the life she envisioned, filled with authenticity and integrity. Mike's gaze shifted to admiration. He recognized the tenacity behind her words. The evening arrived too soon, its heavy atmosphere thick with anticipation. Emily sat in her mother's living room, conflicted, yet resolute. Karen, present for moral support, settled in beside her, reinforcing her commitment to confronting their mother's expectations together. Emily's heart raced as she rehearsed the words that would untangle years of suffocation beneath familial expectations. Mom, she began, a palpable silence hanging in the air. I love you and I want you to know that I genuinely value our relationship. But I need to express my needs too. It's vital for me and for Lily. The words flowed from her, each syllable driving home the message that change was imminent and necessary. To her surprise, the initial shock that crossed her mother's face softened into a contemplative silence. I don't see you have ever needed anything, her mother stammered, the confusion etched in her brow revealing the generational gap that had driven their distance. It was in the depths of that silence that Emily felt a shift, a chance to bridge the confines of their separate lives. Mom, Emily continued, her tone steadied by courage, it's time for me to take charge of my life. I wish to create a space where I share my experiences without worrying about how you might feel. I want Lily to see me thriving, not struggling. Her mother's eyes glistened, revealing layers of regret mingling with acceptance. Karen chimed in, her acceptance of Emily's resolve bolstering the moment. We're not here to point fingers, we just want to be honest. Emily needs to feel empowered. Suddenly, the dialogue felt collaborative rather than confrontational as they addressed their shared aspirations. As the evening wore on, the lines of communication shifted, becoming a tapestry woven through threads of vulnerability, recognition, and hope. Each heart-opening exchange fostered understanding, unveiling years concealed beneath rigidity. In that moment, Emily knew their bonds were being rewritten, no longer dictated by expectation, but grounded in respect. The clock struck midnight, the season's first snowfall swirling outside the window, a symbol of rebirth. Emily felt lighter. She had not only transformed her dialogue with her mother but also laid the groundwork for embracing her expansive identity. Reclaiming her voice had solidified her pathway forward, not only as a mother but as a fiercely independent and fulfilled woman. Weeks later, standing in front of a mirror reflecting the confident woman she had become, Emily smiled. The quiet strength radiated from her, unmistakable, unwavering, and collected. Those conversations had birthed new traditions, an open door to sharing who she was with Lily, allowing her daughter to see the beauty behind their complexities. That it wasn't merely a one-off confrontation, it was the beginning of a continuous dialogue of authenticity, reshaping their family foundation under the glow of hard-earned honesty. Emily realized she was not just living for her daughter, she was modeling strength through vulnerability, reshaping the definitions of both love and courage as they moved forward into this next chapter hand in hand. Now, fully aware of her potential, Emily poised herself to embrace the professional aspirations she had put on hold, knowing full well that her new journey had only just begun. She deconquered her deepest fears, proving to herself that connection, whether to family or newfound love, could breathe life into brave transformations. With the past reconciled, she stepped confidently into her future, a future she was ultimately destined to create. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now, this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.